Now, before we get into episode 6 proper, there's a certain thing I want to establish. Calling fans of this show idiots and stupid just doesn't cut it for me anymore. It's not enough, because it's not properly conveying the point I think I'm trying to make. The best way I can try and explain it is, there are different types of Star Wars fans, okay? There are the type of Star Wars fans that love the sequels. There are type of Star Wars fans that love the original and hate the sequels. That type of thing. To be the type of Star Wars fan and like the Mandalorian, the best way I can explain the type of fan you are is you have to think Rey is a better Jedi, and you have to like Rey more than Luke Skywalker. Okay? That's the mentality of a Star Wars fan you have to be to like the Mandalorian. So if you're an actual fan of Star Wars and love the books and the expanded universe and the original trilogy, and you like the Mandalorian TV show, you have to have the mentality of someone who is a fan of who calls themselves a fan of Star Wars and considers Rey a better Jedi than Luke Skywalker. Because this episode just absolutely cements this. Okay? Based solely on the actual premise of the episode. Okay? Because the premise of the episode is the mercenaries and Mandalorian have to not rescue but free a prisoner from a prison transport ship. Okay? That's cruising through space. Okay? According to the plot of the show, there is a prison transport ship just cruising through the emptiness of space. Okay? You have to be the type of fan, you have to be the type of Star Wars fan that knows so little and so nothing about Star Wars that you think Rey is a better Jedi than Luke Skywalker. Because you would have to not understand how ships travel in the Star Wars universe, because light speed capabilities exist. This prison transport ship would not be cruising through the empty reaches of space. It would take years, if not centuries, for it to get from point A to point B. It would, by default, travel via light speed from point A to point B. That's automatic. That's standard. Okay? That's Star Wars 101. But this show needs the prison transport ship to not travel via light speed, because it needs the prison transport ship to cruise through the emptiness of space. Otherwise, the mercenaries and Mandalorian would never be able to get on the ship and not hijack, but infiltrate the ship to rescue Quinn. Do you understand? It's not just being stupid and ignorant. You have to not understand how Star Wars works. So if you actually claim to be an actual Star Wars fan who loves the original trilogy and loves Luke Skywalker and loves the Star Wars universe, and you do not have a problem with this plot hole beyond a plot hole the size of the space that this prison transport ship has to fly through. If you don't have a problem with this, you're full of shit and you're an idiot and you're a Team Rey Star Wars fan. Okay? Here's the other aspect on this episode. Okay? With the prison transport ship. How does it have a blind side? That doesn't even make any sense. The show needs the prison transport ship to have a blind side because the show needs it to. Okay? You have to be a Team Ray Star Wars fan to hear that, understand that, and go, I don't have a problem with it. Here's another one. Why is the Mandalorian taking this mission? What does he need the money for? See, in episode 5, right? The bounty hunter hit a ship. He's leaking fuel. And has to land on Tatooine, go to Mos Eisley, find a mechanic to repair the damage, and so took a job for the money to be able to pay the mechanic to fix the ship. In this episode, the show's going, we don't even have to give you a reason. You're Team Ray Star Wars fans. You don't care if the Mandalorian has an actual reason to go on this mission, or has absolutely no explanation on why he has or needs money. Because none of us know where the Mandalorian's going. Where is he going at the end of every episode? He is simply traveling through space. He's like Bruce Banner in the Hulk TV show. Just going from town to town, going from planet to planet, just going from mission to mission. None of you have to be a Team Ray Star Wars fan to not care that the Mandalorian has no destination, has no goal, has no idea where he's going. The show has no idea where he's going. You want another aspect? Another episode? Another situation where the client, no talk about the client, no talk about who extracted whatever they extracted from Baby Yoda. None of it. None of it. And you have to be, and again, this is me replacing the word stupid and idiot, because saying stupid and idiot just doesn't cover it anymore. You have to be a Team Ray Star Wars fan to not care that the plot that was supposed to be the foundation of this show is not even talked about yet again. Okay? You want another example? This episode basically establishes the stupidity of the previous episode, because this episode shows that the Mandalorian, that the Razor's Crest has hyperdrive, has lightspeed capabilities. So in episode 5, when he was being chased by that other bounty hunter, there was literally no reason for the Mandalorian not to go into hyperdrive, not use his lightspeed capabilities, except the show needed him not to use lightspeed capabilities. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had episode 5. The Mandalorian would have hyper jumped to either safety or whatever destination he had. Well, obviously, he doesn't have one, so he would have simply hyperdrived to safety. But if they did that, you wouldn't have had episode 5. Do you understand how inane and ridiculous, and how you have to be a Team Ray Star Wars fan to be able to even tolerate this episode? Now, as per usual, I'm not going to be covering all the stupid in this episode, because God knows there's just so much, and I don't want this video to be an hour and a half. But just understand that the stupid I talk about isn't the only stupid. There's just tons that I haven't covered. It's just that I want to just keep this video as short as possible. So the episode starts. He gets the mission. He meets Mini Hagrid. He meets the rest of the crew, and Oh, Zero. Can we please now establish this whole Mandalorian hates droids as irrelevant? Because what's the point of it? Because whenever the show needs him to work with a droid, he simply has no problem working with a droid. So what's this BS he hates droids aspect? Like, not only did he not have a problem with Zero as part of the crew, he let Zero fly his ship. Well, then telling me as an audience that he has a problem with droids is irrelevant now. You've nullified this whole he hates droids and won't. Like in episode 1, he wouldn't even get on a land speeder that was, driven by a droid. Okay? Literally would not take a land speeder that had a droid piloting it. But in this episode, he'll actually have a droid pilot his ship. Like, so now everyone's on the Razor's crest, right? And Mando is talking to Zero. Zero then says, I've now engaged hyperdrive. You can go down and talk with the other crew members. Okay? So the Mandalorian goes down below and starts chit-chatting with all the other with the other mercenaries. Now remember, Zero has already engaged light speed capabilities. So for the next 3 minutes, they're chit-chatting. Like, since when does traveling via light speed take 3 minutes to get to your destination? It doesn't. It doesn't. You have to be a Team Rey Star Wars fan to see this scene and not have a problem with it. Because it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay? There's no way traveling via light speed takes 3 minutes. Okay? Just simply have them chat before he engages light speed. That's all you had to do. But if you're a Team Rey Star Wars fan, it doesn't mean anything. Traveling via light speed or just cruising through space is the same thing to you. It doesn't mean anything by saying they're traveling via light speed or that they've engaged hyperdrive. It doesn't mean anything to you. That's why you don't have a problem with that scene. So they end up discovering Baby Yoda, and I am not going to get into that mess because it's not worth it. But there was this one line that kind of caught me off guard when Bill Burr sees Baby Yoda and turns to the Mandalorian and goes, "What do you get lonely up here?" And it was like, "Excuse me? What did you just say?" Like, this is supposed to be a Disney show. Now, if you don't understand the implication of that line, I'm not helping you. You're on your own. Okay? If you don't understand the innuendo of that line, I'm not helping you. But all I know is that I heard that and I was like, it was just weird. But I don't know if you caught it, but I did. So anyway, Zero goes, "We're now out of hyperdrive," and they all get tossed around. And it was like, you guys were just chit-chatting. Like, did you forget that you were in hyperspace, in light speed? Like, did you not realize you have a mission to go on? That you're supposed to be prepared? Again, they weren't even getting ready for the mission. Because again, timing is everything. It was all about timing and speed. No, we're not going to actually get ready. We're going to have a little chit-chat and talk about Baby Yoda. So, they attach to the ship, and Zero is now inside the prison system. How? How does that work? What capabilities does the Razor Crest have that allows it to now connect to the prison system? Oh wait, it doesn't. But if you're a Team Ray Star Wars fan, it works for you. You're okay with it. Again, for those of you who have forgotten, I'm basically replacing you brain dead stupid morons with Team Ray Star Wars fan. Because that's what you have to be. You have to not understand, not care. Disney can do what this show can do whatever it wants, say whatever it wants, and you don't care because you don't care about Star Wars. So now they have to get to the control room to find out where the prisoner is. Well, if Zero was able to connect to the prison system, why wouldn't he just be able to find out what cell the prisoner is in? Oh, because then you wouldn't have a show. Because then it would just be a simple in-out thing. So you have to accept that Zero was able to penetrate the prison system, but at the same time not penetrate the prison system enough to be able to get information. Oh, and he can also disable the onboard surveillance, but he can disable the onboard surveillance. Like he can connect to the prison system, disconnect the surveillance system, but for some reason can't figure out or find or get access to the actual cell the prisoner's in. What a coincidence. So Bill says we're on the clock. As soon as we engage the droids, they'll be all over us. Well, considering there's an actual human being or an officer in the control room, wouldn't disabling the surveillance cameras trigger the fact that... Wouldn't that trigger something? Well, of course not. Because when they eventually make it to the control room, all the surveillance cameras are working. All the screens are showing the various areas of the transport. But I thought Zero disabled the security cameras. Oops! How you have to willfully go, I don't care. You're hopeless. You've drunk the Kool-Aid. Okay? You're pretty much bathing in the Kool-Aid. You have drunk the Disney Kool-Aid. You're gone. You're hopeless. Okay? There's no saving you anymore. All that's left is ridiculing you and establishing how goddamn stupid you all are. Okay? For you to see the scene of them in the control room and seeing all the security cameras working and going, that's okay, you're done. You're hopeless. Okay? And I have no sympathy in ridiculing you and establishing, because you're constantly proving you're goddamn idiots. Okay? And you don't care. You've drunk the Kool-Aid. You've drunk the Disney Star Wars Kool-Aid and you're gone. Okay? So anyway, the droids show up and they all start fighting. Now, I'm not going to go through the fight because I'll let you enjoy it. And I'm not going to... There's enough stupid in there I'm not going to cover. But there was one thing, is that during that fight between Mandalorian and the droids, they hit his pauldron. They hit his pauldron twice and are never able to hit him anywhere else. Like, I'm obviously going to be keeping track of this because it's happening every episode. They're constantly hitting him in the pauldron and nowhere else. So now, Zero is redirecting the security alert away from their position, and Zero can now open the door to the control room. Now again, I'm mentioning all this because Zero is somehow able to control the prison system enough to be able to do all this, but is somehow unable to find out the cell of the prisoner. So they enter, and there's a New Republic officer sitting there, and of course the surveillance videos are all working. And then it's like, well, why don't they just shoot him? Like, what's this discussion with them? Like, what's the end game here? I don't get it. Like, other than having the Mandalorian try to suddenly become the good guy and not suddenly want to shoot people, makes no sense. Because you saw him pretty much vaporize and shoot other people in previous episodes. Now all of a sudden he doesn't want to kill another human being. How does this work? And not only that, it's irrelevant because Zian ends up killing him anyway. So what was this whole fake tension of? So, then the officer pulls out the tracking beacon, right? And Zian says, didn't we need to know this? And Bill Burr, I forget his name, Mayweather, whatever his name. I keep thinking of him as far as I'm concerned, it's just Bill Burr. I don't know what his character name is. So Bill Burr goes, I didn't think we'd get to this point. Well, wait a minute. You didn't think you'd get far enough to actually get anywhere? Then why did you take this mission? Did Bill Burr's character go into this mission thinking it was a suicide run and that he was never going to make it anyway? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why did he even take the job then? For him to go, I didn't even think we'd make it to this point, obviously means he figured he'd have been dead by now. Why would I tell you part 2 of the plan when I figured we'd all be dead by now? So we have the officer with the tracking beacon. Now, why would he have a portable tracking beacon? Why wouldn't the tracking beacon be part of the console, the actual system of the control room? Well then, how else would the Mandalorian be able to take it and put it in Quinn's pocket? So the show had to go, we don't care how stupid it is and how it makes no sense, we're going to have it that there's a portable tracking beacon so that way the Mandalorian can steal it, and there's no reason that the tracking beacon should have been like a fob. It should have been part of the control panel. But then you wouldn't have had that little twist ending at the end of the show. So the tracking device is activated, and it'll take 20 minutes for whoever to show up. First of all, how did Zero know it was going to take 20 minutes? Oh, he doesn't. But the show just pulled a number out of its ass because you guys don't care. He could have said 4 hours. He could have said 3 minutes. It wouldn't have made a difference because time dilation exists in this prison transport ship anyway. So they get to the cell. Yeah. Bill Burr's character, inserts the key into the lock and has to tell Zero to unlock the door. Look, isn't that the key's job? Why wouldn't the key unlock the cell door? Why would he need to put in the key and then have Zero, okay, override it and open up the cell door? Especially considering later on the Mandalorian steals a key from a droid to open up a lock that's in the inside of the cell and doesn't need Zero to help him unlock it. So the Mandalorian is in the cell. There is a key, there is a lock, okay, in the inside of the cell. Why there's a keyhole or a lock on the inside of the cell, don't ask questions. But he's able to take that key, turn it, and open the cell door. But on the outside, you need a key and you need an override system to open up the cell door. Do you understand how stupid you all are? Do you understand how brain dead idiots you all are? That the Mandalorian can unlock the lock from the inside of the cell with just the key, but on the outside of the cell, you need a key and the override. Can any of you defend this? Of course not. Because none of you even noticed. None of you cared. How do locks work? Then they backstab the Mandalorian. Why? Why? There's literally no reason to. They don't establish one. They don't give one. But they need to backstab the Mandalorian so that they can have the second half of this episode where he hunts them down one by one like it's an 80s slasher flick. So after they backstab the Mandalorian and throw him in the cell, Zero goes, 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Here's where the time dilation and time disruption and time warp capabilities exist in this transport ship, because it's now thrown out the window. Okay, because the Mandalorian is in the cell for who knows how long, right? Escapes, runs all the way back to the control room, okay, and now it's everyone's plan to now try and kill the Mandalorian. You got 10 minutes left. You need to escape. Screw it. That's not important. We're going to try and kill the Mandalorian because the story needs us to. They don't even establish why they need to kill the Mandalorian, why he can't come out of it. Because if they leave, right, the trigger-happy Y-Wings are just going to shoot the ship, I guess? So, like, how stupid do you have to be to like this show? Seriously. Let's no longer try to escape because we only got 10 minutes left. Let's go try and kill the Mandalorian. Then Quinn tells Bill Burr's character, I'll give you triple share if you kill the Mandalorian. What? And he goes. Like, you got 5 minutes left. No, screw it. I'm going to go hunt the Mandalorian. Like, this is a perfect example of this show injecting stupid just so that they can get the plot and scenes that they want. You have to, this show you have to, as an audience, you have to willfully ignore the fact that they want to leave, that they need to leave, that they've only got 5 minutes left. Nah, screw it. They're just going to now go try and kill the Mandalorian so that the show can have the scene that they want. So, Berg is in the control room. So Berg goes into the control room. And the Mandalorian is up on the grating. And remember, in 5-10 minutes, the Y-Wings are going to show up. The Mandalorian basically went, I'm going to stay in the control room waiting until somebody eventually comes into the control room. Like, the Mandalorian goes, okay, I got 5 minutes before we need to escape. I know, I'll go hide in the vent in case somebody eventually, hopefully, shows up and walks all the way back into the control room. And then, with the doors, like the doors go down, and Burke is able to hold it up, and then the side doors come. Now, the side doors close. You see them close, okay? I'm thinking Burke's dead. We're all thinking Burke's dead. Nah, he's fine. It was a flesh wound. He's in the prison. Like, how did Burke survive that? Oh, because we don't want the Mandalorian to be a killer now. You're pathetic. You're pathetic if you saw that and had no problem with it. You're Team Rave Star Wars fans. That's the best insult I can possibly think. You're pathetic. Kool-Aid Star Wars, Disney Star Wars Kool-Aid drinking. Rey is a better Jedi than Luke Skywalker Star Wars fan. You're pathetic. Oh, and then during the fight, he uses the whistling birds, and none of them hit. None of them work. Since none of us know how the whistling birds work, but we're somehow able to take out 4 stormtroopers without any programming, without anything, but when he needs it to take out Burke, the show doesn't want the whistling birds to work, so they don't work. When the show wants the whistling birds to work, they work. How do they work? Who gives a damn? You don't. And again, punching the Mandalorian is more effective than, shooting him. He gets the door closed. So now remember, there's 5 minutes left. The Mandalorian now goes after each mercenary one by one, and then had to drag them back to the cell that he was put in, go back, get the next mercenary, take that mercenary out, drag that mercenary all the way back to the cell, put him in the cell, go back, get Bill Burr's character, knock him out, drag him all the way back to the cell, and then go. Do you understand how time has now gone out the window? The fact that there was 5 minutes left means nothing, because the Mandalorian basically took out each mercenary one by one, dragged each mercenary one by one back to the cell. This should have taken an hour. No, because it took 5 minutes. Then I'm going to skip a lot because I've already gone way beyond what I want to. But the Mandalorian escapes and goes into hyperdrive. Takes him 3 seconds. Yet earlier, when the show had no goddamn clue or concept of how the hyperdrive works, it took 3 minutes. But at the end of the episode, when they didn't need to have a conversation with anyone, the hyperdrive takes 3 minutes. Now, like I said, there's more, but I'm done because I've gone beyond my normal time frame on this video. But that's how much stupid is in this show, because I'm cutting it short so I don't have to make another hour video. This show is hopeless. You fans of this show are hopeless. Those of you who actually claim to be actual Star Wars fans and like this show, you're full of shit and you're irrelevant if you like this show and have no problem with it. Just God knows what episode 7's gonna do. Anyway, I'm out of here. See ya.